Hi, everybody. This is State Representative Joe Sosnowski. I represent Winnebago in Boone County, and just wanted to welcome all of you this afternoon. We just have a very special presentation that we wanted to have. My office sometimes, occasionally gets calls regarding property taxes, assessments, challenges, how PTAB, the Property Tax Appeal Board, works in the state of Illinois. And I wanted to have a couple experts locally join us and just give an overview of how that process works, who may want to look at challenging their taxes if they do, and what the process is behind that. Probably not for everybody, and of course nobody likes taxes at all, but typically this appeal process is utilized for those who think there may be a discrepancy with a value, or they think something may have changed and their value is not quite accurate, and this gives obviously opportunities for property owners or landowners, either homes or businesses, to file an appeal. So today we have Tom Hodges is with us. He's the Supervisor of Assessments at Winnebago County. And we'll also have Ken Crowley will join us. He is with Rockford Township. He's the Rockford Township Assessor. And they're both going to talk a little bit about the fundamentals of how the process works. And we also will have Q&A available. So for anybody who is listening live, you can log on or you can look at that Q&A box at the bottom. And if you have a question now, go ahead and type it in or as they're talking. And if we have some time at the end, we'll filter through a couple of those questions. So we flipped a coin, a Super Bowl coin earlier, and Tom's the winner. Not really, but he offered to go first. And so at this point, I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Mr. Tom Hodges to start the presentation. And Tom, thanks so much for being with us this afternoon.
Absolutely. I certainly appreciate the invite. I want to thank Representative Sosnowski for hosting the event, and like I said, for the invitation. Just right from the get-go, if taxpayers do have questions after this whole thing is over, I highly encourage them to call our office or stop in. And I'd be more than happy to sit down and further go over the details of the process, as unfortunately at times it can tend to be a little bit convoluted. So with that, we'll just start. I have a little bit of a slideshow that I put together. I'm going to switch to my screen, hopefully, and just go through this. So about every year in late July, the county publishes a list of parcel assessments that were changed by your township assessor. Every 4 years is a general assessment year where we publish every parcel. Those other 3 years will just be publishing the changes made by the township. So about that time every year, that opens the 30-day window as to when you can file a complaint on your property assessment with the Winnebago County Board of Review. So we'll start off here. The first step in deciding whether you want to file a complaint with the Board of Review is to review your property's record card. Now your property record card has all types of information on your property. It's square footage, number of rooms, bathrooms, so on and so forth. Now those property record cards are housed at the individual townships. The majority of the townships do have them online, and those can be found through a link on our website. To locate your individual township assessor, you can go to our website and click on the township assessor contact information link, and as you can see, hopefully, all of the townships, or each township assessor for the 14 townships in Winnebago, their contact information is on there. And at that point, if you believe that you're being overassessed, you can decide to file a complaint. Before you actually file the formal complaint, we do recommend you contact your township assessor. There's three main reasons why you would file a complaint. One is if you believe that your property's fair cash value or the market value is over what you're currently being assessed at. You can also file complaints on the basis of equity. If other properties around your property is assessed at a higher rate, you could certainly file complaints on that. Or if there's a factual discrepancy, again, contacting your township assessor, they'll be able to go over that information with you. Once you do decide to file a formal complaint, you'll probably want to take a look at the Winnebago County Board of Review Rules and Procedures. Again, that is located on our website and on the Board of Review website at that link. The Board of Review Rules and Procedures tend to stay fairly similar from year to year. However, there are sometimes fairly significant changes other than just date changes, and those are highlighted in yellow. The rules have all the particulars and the detailed information that you'll want to be aware of when filing a complaint. Again, the major stuff, however, can be your township assessor or one of our assessment specialists here at the county can certainly help you out with that. Let's see here. So once you do decide to file a complaint, again, the complaint form is on our website as well. You can get that from the township assessors as well. It's a fairly straightforward complaint form. There is a checklist just provided as a courtesy to help taxpayers kind of get their all their ducks in a row, so to speak, before filing a complaint. Just general information about the property. Again, these 4 boxes here, 3 of these are the 3 main bases of a complaint. As I mentioned earlier, overvaluation, discrepancy in physical data, or equity of assessment. We also do provide a template for comparables, and Ken Crowley, Rockford Township Assessor, will dive into comparables more here in a bit. So once you file your complaint with the Board of Review, if your request is under $33,333, it will go through a preliminary decision process where the board will look at your evidence, they will look at the township assessor's evidence, and they will make a preliminary decision. At that point, you will receive a notice from the Board of Review with that decision on it, and you will have 10 days from the date of the notice to call our office and request a hearing if you choose to do so. This year we are providing the option of having virtual hearings or in-person hearings. With everything going on with the pandemic, we want to provide both of those options to taxpayers to make things as easy as possible. Now, if your request is over $33,333 assessed value reduction, that automatically triggers a hearing. At that point, if your request is over that threshold, you will be contacted by somebody in our office to set up a hearing. Again, virtual or in person, it would be up to your decision. And those hearings usually take place in October, November, December, running all the way through February when we wrap up the assessment year at the Board of Review level. At that point, once you, if you do have a hearing and you receive you'll receive a final decision notice. And there will be information contained in that notice that if you still are not satisfied with the Board of Review's decision, that you can appeal your assessment to the State of Illinois Property Tax Appeal Board. And we do have forms here in the office. Those forms are also available online, and we can certainly help in assisting walking taxpayers through that process as well. A couple of, or a few, I should say, important dates to consider. So Assessments for the county, all of them, not just the ones that we published, were available at the very end of July. We mailed notices to those that had changes from their township assessor on the 3rd and the 4th of August. And due to publication laws in various townships, we had to publish on 2 different dates. Some townships were published on August 5th. Other townships were published on August 5th. I'm sorry, 6th, and that pushed the 30-day calendar day deadline out to September 4th and September 5th, respectively. And then there's also some additional evidence. If you're planning on submitting additional evidence, you do have, if it's under $100,000 assessed value request reduction, you have 25 days, 25 calendar days past the deadline, and if it's over 100,000, you have 45 calendar days after the deadline. So that's kind of the assessment appeal process in a nutshell, I guess. Like I said, if there's any questions, I'd be more than happy to help out the best I can.
You know, before I turn over to Ken, we did have a question. I wanted to ask you that real quick, but before I do that, and I don't want to put you on the spot, so if you don't know the number, but how many assessments challenges does office kind of circulate through in a given year? Do you happen to know that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the number of challenges, it tends to rise and fall with the market. So in 2011, for instance, when we're at the bottom essentially of the housing market, we had roughly 7,500 complaints. However, last year in a stronger market, even though it was a general assessment year and we sent out over about 120,000 notices, we had 2,600 complaints for the countywide, which is significantly less than the last general assessment year.
Sure. And then the question from on Facebook doesn't necessarily apply directly, but in concept, it does. Refers to a big player. But Kyle asked the question because the Byron nuclear power plant was in the news today. If you heard about it, the them shutting down. And his question was, how does that affect a county and assessments generally? So I guess in the case of, Winnebago County, what would happen if, a couple of large employers that were going dormant assessment or valuation of property in the county?
Absolutely. And I apologize, your audio is breaking up a little bit there, Joe, but I think I got the gist of the question. When a large, if you look at Oldville County in particular, since that's kind of what the question is derived from, when a large taxpayer such as Exelon, decommissions the 2 nuclear generators, and it definitely erodes from the overall tax base, which thusly depletes the equalized assessed value for all of those taxing districts. In principle, for the most part, the tax rates inversely follow the assessed value or the tax base of the taxing district. So when there is a larger tax base and the equalized assessed value is higher, tax rates obviously tend to be lower as taxing districts, they set their levies accordingly. So it definitely does have a negative impact on the taxing districts. I would say in a county such as Ogle, where one taxpayer accounts for a significant portion of that tax base, is going to have an adverse effect greater than it would in Winnebago County. Really what drives assessed values in Winnebago County is the equalization factor that our office applies every year. And what drives the equalization factor is our sales, and residential sales, to be exactly. In a county such as Winnebago, where we have a lot of larger commercial and industrial taxpayers, one or two of them, it's not as big of a percentage of the base as it would be in, unfortunately, in old.
Well, I appreciate that answer to the question. Again, if anybody who is on with us live would have a question, just go ahead and you can type it in the Q&A box on the Zoom meeting. But at this point, and I may have to switch over here. I had a little bit of technical difficulty here with connectivity. So if I zoom out for a minute, I'll zoom back in. But at this point, I wanted to invite Ken Crowley to join us and kind of pick up where Tom left off. Ken, thanks so much for being a part, and appreciate having you. Oh, you're muted, Ken. Sorry.
Oops, sorry about that. Can you hear me now? All right. So what I wanted to talk about is the Rockford Township Assessor is, Tom kind of went into the appeal process and what you do. Essentially what most folks are doing is, they'll reach out to us or to their local realtor or to their friends or their neighbors, and they'll say, wow, is this new assessment, is that really reflective of what, my home's, fair cash value is? One neat tool we have at Rockford Township is if you go onto our website at rockfordtownshipassessor.net, and we'll start a little slideshow regarding on how to find comparable properties. This is really geared towards a residential presentation for a property owner of a single family home or condo. And what you'll do is you'll go on to rockfordtownshipassessor.net. You'll click onto property search. Then from the property search, you'll go to the third tab and you'll print in your parcel number or your name and address. And then what will click up from there will be property details of your property. And in this case, this is my own home here. And when you scroll down to the bottom of the screen, there's a click box of recent sales in your area neighborhood. You click on that box, and then the sixth slide will show you the neighborhood sales. And from that, you can kind of get an idea. Now, a couple things about this. It's going to be valid sales that have transpired in the last 3 years. And keep in mind, so it's going to be valid sales. So if you live in a neighborhood that still is really stressed by foreclosures, you may need to go a little deeper, contact our office and actually have us pull up invalid sales too. That's not as much of a problem right now, but back in 2011 when the market just collapsed, that was a popular thing to do. Basically, you're going to look at the neighborhood sales. This is going to kind of give you a brief overview of what's sold, what style, and I think this will give you kind of an idea of what's going on in your neighborhood. And then you can also click to look at other similar neighborhoods, what properties have sold for, and what we think is best for comparison purposes to decide if you're fairly assessed, over-assessed, or not, is that you use as similar a property as you can. So if you have a ranch, you would want to compare yourself to a ranch. Then you would have the price, the biggest unit of comparison the Board of Review uses to sustain or lower an assessment is basically the square foot price of a property. So in determining an appeal, whether you're going to have success or not, the closest comparables that you can find are going to be the most beneficial, and that would be in this most similar size. Now, if you're not in a cookie cutter subdivision, it's kind of difficult to find exact homes, especially in older, more established neighborhood where the properties are different. But if you're in a ranch home, a lot of ranches in Rockford Township, you most likely are able to find ranch sales, and then you basically can take there's a little bit of math here. I welcome people to call our office and talk to our deputy assessors and go over it with them. We'll get you the information. But you basically take the sale price and divide it by the above grade square footage, and that'll give you a good comparison per square foot. We're happy to do this and run grids for you in our office also, but that's one of the main tools we have at Rockford Township for you as a property owner to look for single family condos or ranch homes, any type of home really. Now it gets a little more complicated when you get into, you have more of a custom home, or it's just, there's some things that there aren't great comps for, and you have to maybe look a little harder, a little deeper on that, and maybe expand your search. Again, we can help you, if that becomes a problem, because some homes, are custom or different architecture, and it may be a little harder to find comparables. So that's a brief overview of our website and what it does for Rockford Township, in Rockford Township, how you can find sale comparables on your own.
All right, well, thanks so much, Ken. As you were talking, I'm not sure all the viewers were able to see the individual slides switch. So Laura's going to go through them.
I'll slow down a little bit. That's good.
Oh, yeah. So she's moving them right now. Something got, I think, stopped. So you don't need to go back through everything. But if you want to highlight real briefly, maybe as they pop up real quick. I see them moving on my screen now.
Put your property in from there. And the next slide would be your parcel address or name. Then this would be your details. In my case, this is my property. And then when you scroll down to the bottom, you're going to see this click to view recent sales in your area. When you click that, it will show recent homes. In my case, my home is a ranch home. So what will come up is the ranches will come up first, and then those will be the comparables that you could use as comparisons for a potential successful appeal. And then that slide's basically talking again about determining, the most comparable. Again, I kind of went through, you have some different types of construction sometimes, some more custom things it's harder to find a comparable to, issues that you can have there. But in general, the physical compatibility in size, condition, if you have a two-story colonial, it's probably best to use two-story colonial sales because they're going to be more reflective of that type of property. And the values of those could be different in a neighborhood than ranch sales. So, but there are sometimes challenges on other styles or more custom homes that it makes it a little more difficult.
Great. Thank you so much, Ken. And then we had two questions pop up, and there may be one or two more that may come in here right before we end. But Natalie asked, and I don't know who wants to take it, but her question is, in the process, is it best just to use the most recent sales in the market since different years can vary a lot? I don't know who wants to take that one.
Sure, I can answer that. The board will give more weight to the more recent sales, the sales that are closer to January 1st of the assessment year that the taxpayer is filing on. They will give more weight to those sales. However, taxpayers can go back and submit sales from the past 3 years. So all of 2017, 18, 19, all the way up, the board will give weight to sales up to March 31st of 2019. After that date, those may be considered. However, it's going to be primarily the last 3 years up until the end of the first quarter of that assessment year.
All right, thank you. And then we had another question that came in from our Facebook Live, and this one was from Brett. And I don't know if either of you could answer this, but I think I know the answer, but I don't know if you know the date. But his question is the general process the same in Boone County? And if so, what is their deadline? And if you don't know the deadline, I can respond to him separately.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not sure. I don't know if Ken.
Process is very similar. You know, the Belvedere Assessor, they have a website, property information on their website. We don't do many things with them, but I know what they have on their website. Their dates are different than Winnebago County. They're a little later in the year generally, but process very similar form. Different, every county has a different form, and then each board of review of every county has different rules, but you know, most of it rides on the very similar track.
Okay. Yeah, and like Ken mentioned, the Boone County Assessor's Office will have the date. But for Brett, if you want to reach out to my office, if you can't find it, we can get you the date. But Boone, like he mentioned, Boone County is a little bit later than Winnebago County this year. Ken, you may have set yourself up for this next question, but we had an attendee, I don't have a name here, asked about your home, and they said it looks like it's overassessed. Is that true?
No. In this crazy hot market, it's fine. So, you know, the bottom line right now, I think the stats last year pretty much were, of all sales, 74% of the sales were over or above the current assessed value. And I can tell you, if I look back 10 years ago during the 2010-11 year, I'll bet you it was inverted the other way. 80% of property sales were below what they were assessed. So, you know, this isn't a bad time to have your value of your home go up. You know, it's a great seller's market, obviously, but this is the #1 investment in your in most people's lives. At the same time, you don't want to overpay in property tax. But we understand what the goal of people is to pay their fair share.
All right. Well, I figured you wouldn't be offended by that question. I didn't know if that was a rule where, you know, as an assessor, you have to pay, you know, a higher value, so higher taxes, but that's great. Well, listen, gentlemen, I think that answered the questions that I have here. I appreciate your time and that overview, and this will be shared and available on Facebook and our website. So if somebody wants to use it as a quick reference in the future, they certainly can do that. But I didn't want to close out today without letting each of you wrap up, or if you wanted to mention anything that you forgot. So I'll give you a minute here if you wanted to do that, or if you've covered everything, we can close this Zoom session.
Absolutely. One kind of interesting thing that I just kind of want to point out is so the equalized assessed value countywide has been going up recently, and last year the median assessed value increase per household was right around 6%. However, for their tax bills, their subsequent tax bills for 2019, 55% of households actually saw a decrease in their tax bill. And that is due in large part to the overall increase in the county-wide pot of taxable value, along with individual taxing districts holding their levy flat and not taking that increase. So just something to keep in mind, that your assessed value, it's not a one-to-one necessarily of what you're going to see on your tax bill the following year. And obviously, if you have any further questions, please contact us. And just again, thank you for hosting this. Appreciate it.
We appreciate being invited. I really appreciate it. Just to kind of close briefly, if you have any questions about your assessment, we have teams available, deputy assessors that are there willing to help you, give you all the information. They can't fill out the appeal form for you. They can't, they can advise you as best as they can, but it's something that, the real estate market right now, really hot. A couple things driving that: record low interest rates, housing inventory, as reported by RAR, very low, so it's driving sale prices. But that doesn't equate to everywhere or to every commercial property or office. So there's definitely good reasons for appeals, and there's just tools out there. This is one that's for residential properties that you can do the review. You don't necessarily just automatically have to pay an attorney to do it. The information's out there, and we want you to use it and just use our office as an asset. And just call 815-965-0300, and there's someone there to help you.
And we'll put that information on our site too, so that you're readily accessible. Sorry, there was one last question that came in, and since we got a couple minutes, I wanted to just see who might want to take this. This is actually an interesting part of the assessment. It varies by county, but we know some of our local government bodies, like the school district in Winnebago, really has frozen their levy. So the question that came in was, how does that process work, I guess, as far as timeline? When do governing bodies determine what their levy is going to be for the upcoming year? And the crux of their question was, they want to maybe reach out to some of them to encourage them to keep their levies flat. But do you know the timing on that, when individual government bodies need to determine their levy?
Joe, that's a little bit out of my wheelhouse. However, I do know that they need to certify their budget to the county clerk by the end of the year. I believe it's okay, by December 31st. I know that process is in the works now, and as we've been providing estimated EAVs to taxing districts here in the last month or so, And the question hits the nail on the head as far as really, aside from your assessed value, your school districts across the state of Illinois make up anywhere from 50 to 62% of taxes, property taxes they pay. So you definitely have a voice at various taxing district board meetings.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Can I piggyback on that, Joe? Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
please.
hey, so I've had a lot of commercial property owners contact me this spring when most of us were locked down for COVID, and it's a great question. As Tom said, it varies. The process is in the fall, and usually most taxing districts, this is something that they vote on in November, early December, what their levy is going to be. The last few years, I've been a part of press conferences where the school district Rockford 205, they've pledged to keep their levy flat, at least for the next couple of years. Now, the interesting question I had from some different industrial property owners is that exact question, but unfortunately, because of this nasty COVID-19, will taxing districts be able to do that? And obviously, Tom and I don't have a crystal ball, and we don't know that. Will something that happened with this pandemic change what the city needs to do? I don't know. And so that's going to be a big thing to be reported on, in December, what happened with the levies this year, because they've been really flat in general. And then when, you have assessment increases, that means you have pretty flat tax bill increases, or they're almost the same as the year prior. So it's a great question.
Okay. Well, I appreciate the answer on that. And there was a question that also came in. I'll just make a quick note that your slideshows will be available for people if they want it. They can either log into our website or on Facebook, and or we can email them out. But one of the questions, and I'll just go ahead and answer it, was in regards to the owner's estimate on the form, and that alludes back to what Mr. Crowley was talking about when you look at comparable sales when you fill out that paperwork. So again, his slideshow will be available for anybody who wanted to take a look at that, and getting to that estimated market value is really something that, you know, on an appeal form, that's up to the individual owner to determine that based off comparables that they want to use. But thanks for that question. And again, Tom and Ken, I really appreciate your time. It's not the easiest subject matter. You know, you guys know it day in and day out, but you know, for people who don't work in the assessment business, you know, it can be a little unique and challenging maybe initially, but so, you know, we didn't cover all of the topics, but I appreciate both of your offices' willingness to be open, and I know you mean that wholeheartedly, and I know that your offices are available to answer questions. So I definitely encourage any of our viewers, you know, if you have a question, just go ahead and reach out. And both these gentlemen's offices are run great, and they're very responsive. You know, obviously, if they get 100 phone calls in a day, they may not get an immediate answer, but I know they will definitely get back to you. So again, thank you to both of you, and I appreciate your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Representative.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care and have a great day.
You as well.
You too.